Hi guys, welcome back to Lost in Malibu. My name is Kate. Today I am doing my January wrap up. Oh, January's already over. Good night. Oh my goodness. I had a really good start to my year, to be honest. Not in terms of what I liked, but just I've read quite a bit this month. Um, so let's go over them. First book I read was 1001 Nights by Hanan Al. I'll just put it here. Okay, so I read this as a retelling. I know this is translated, which is interesting. So this was not what I was expecting at all. It very much is. I've never read the. I think I've only read like one or two stories of the original, and I think one of them was the original Aladdin story. I can't think of what else I would have read from the original. So I actually don't know if this is the original, and it just the cover. I'm gonna put a picture here of the cover. The cover is very YA, very pretty, very gives off very different vibes than what the actual book is. Not what I was expecting at all. It's interesting reading stories like this from a different culture. All I'm really remembering is the one about, because a lot of it just it flows all together, and it's supposed to be like that because that's the whole point of the book. So I'm not knocking off that it's supposed to be very flowy and very like, oh, this story leads into this story. It's meant to be like that. I know it's meant to be like that. And I think it's clever. The original writer of the book, the stories, I think is a very clever concept to the whole thing. So this, the one that's like sticking out in my mind is the story about a woman who falls in love with an angel. I think she falls in love with an angel. They get married. They're happy. Her two younger sisters, I do believe, maybe got married and then just wasn't happy with their husbands, and decided to take a feather from the husband, the angel husband, and it ended up causing him to die. And he then turned these two sisters into dogs when they wouldn't tell him where the feather was because the feather could have saved his life. They wouldn't give him his feather. Don't. Jealousy. So he turns them into dogs, and every night their sister who married him has to whip them like a lot of times every single night if they don't want to die. It's a lot. Just there was a lot going on in this book, and that was the one story that just has stuck with me. And I read this early on in the book, but yeah, that was it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was something. It's very much a classic. It feels like a classic. Was not what I was expecting at all. It's a lot. So ended up giving it 3, more like 3.5, according to CallPal. Next one, I did a book review over, I do believe, and that's Burn the Negative, and this is by Josh Winning. This is the one about our main character is an actress, or was an actress. She was a child actress. This was the book that gave me very much Poltergeist vibes, as in the horror movie that she was in as a child was a curse set in the same vein as like Poltergeist, The Omen, kind of the same thing going on. So I'll link my review in the description below, because that's where it is. Next one is a Supernatural book. Supernatural, the TV show book that I read. This was Unholy Cause. This was set in season 5 of the show, which is the best season, by the way. If you didn't know, it's the best season. Supernatural. This is about Sam and Dean going to a Confederate reenactment, and there's demons stuff going on, and people are just up and killing people, other people, with things that, like, a sword that wasn't a real, well, like, it had a reenactment gun, and then the gun, well, the guns they use in reenactments aren't actual real guns, and so he shouldn't have been able to shoot and kill a man with a reenactment gun, because it's a reenactment gun. So weird things were happening, and they showed up, and there was some hints and stuff going on about the plot of season 5. So Lucifer, demons, angels, all that kind of stuff happening in season 5. I did include that the cast does show up. If we're talking about diversity, one of my things for this year, I want to read 3 books with diversity every single month. This month did fantastic. Knocked it out of the park. Unholy Cause, I would consider Castiel gender fluid. We don't know this at season 5, but Castiel in a later episode takes on a female vessel. Doesn't really have a gender per se. So I would call Castiel a gender fluid. Obviously, 1001 Nights is written by a Middle Eastern author, and is also translated. Unholy Cause, and also Dean is I would consider bisexual. Again, don't really know it at season 5, but he is bisexual. Yeah. Moving on. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I wanted to read this in preparation for Hellbent coming out this month. I like this. This is very good. I liked the Dark Academia. I liked the Yale setting that's going on. My workplace has worked with, not Yale, but the University of New Haven, which was part of its lifespan was with Yale for a little bit, and then they got their own place. So it's been interesting reading something set in a place where I've done a lot of work when my company partnered with them. Anyways, so it's very interesting seeing the whole area in a different way. I enjoy the secret societies of a Ivy League school. I think it's super interesting. I'm excited to see where Hellbent goes. I don't think that was really where I thought this book was going to go, but here we go. I'm ready for it. I am fully ready for it. So the next book I read was Darius the Great is Not Okay. This is written by Adib Khorram. This is about a Iranian American boy named Darius. One day he doesn't fit in very well with the American boys. He struggles. He's a big nerd. He's very I love Darius. Darius is amazing. One day he finds out that his grandfather in Iran is very sickly, and if they want to see him before he passes away, they should go visit him now. So they decide to take a trip and go to Iran. This is Darius's first time going to Iran, and experiencing his ancestry, his culture, and I think it's just a cute YA book discussing Iranian culture, discovering his ancestry, his own culture at the same time, trying to fit in, making friends. He makes a friend in this book. I know has a second book called Darius the Great Deserves Better. And you know what? Darius the Great does deserve better. And not only does this book tackle being an Iranian American, but also he has anxiety and depression. And he's working through a lot of that. And thankfully his parents are very supportive of this. Because as it's talked about in the book, Iranian people, or as he sees it, aren't supportive of that. But he finds support in his family and support in his new friend that he makes over there, and discovers a love for football. Not American football, but football. Yeah, it was a good book. I give it 4 stars. It's very cute. I will be reading the sequel. It's very, very cute. Next book I read was Cherished. This was an arc that I read. This book is about a girl who inherits her grandmother's house. This house is very weird. I may end up doing an arc review over this. I haven't decided. It's been a while since I read it. This has Faye. This is a really weird book. So her grandmother was making sure the Fae weren't taking kids, because that's what the Fae do apparently, is just take kids, these Fae. And then her grandmother passes away, and she now has the option of taking over her grandmother's place. It's just kind of learning how to deal with everything that goes on within the place that she is in. She has now inherited. Okay. Next one I read was Never Forget We Were Always Free, and this was an arc that I also received. This is by Ben Jealous. This is a memoir of Ben Jealous. If you don't know who Ben Jealous is, Ben was a former, or maybe he still is, CEO and president of the NAACP. So this is just talking about his life, how interesting it was becoming the CEO of the NAACP, growing up, and just, he grew up in the 60s, 70s, during the civil rights, kind of in the civil rights movement era. So it's a very interesting book. I highly recommend if you want another book of memoirs by African American men, women. Highly recommend. It's a very good book. I ended up giving it, I'm really bad about nonfictions. I think I ended up giving it 5 stars. Because I don't like rating nonfiction when it's their lives. Because, like, it's their life. Like, I can't, that's weird, rating their life. I feel more comfortable writing, like, a biography that's not about, it's not about themselves. It's them taking the information that they know about a person and writing about them. So I feel more inclined to feel better about writing a biography or a nonfiction that isn't about their lives, like, just in general, just like a scientific kind of book. I feel better about that. I don't feel great about writing memoirs and autobiographies. Anyways, it's a good book. Next book I read was World Savers. This is by Matt Cowper. This is a very much a DC like store brand, not like name brand, store brand. Because our main characters are very much feel like the Justice League. So we have our main character, Nightstalker. I think that was his name. I forget their. I'm forgetting names. He is Batman. Basically, he looks like Batman. Do I have the book? Oh, I actually do. I have the book right here. Okay, so look at him. Look, I mean, he looks like Batman. And then there's this dude who is, he looks a lot more like the Flash though. But he is Heat Dude. So it's Nightstalker. Yeah, it's Nightstalker. And then we have a metal lady, and we have a gunslinger. I think that's it. And then, like, this book is set where superheroes are known, and there's a lot of superheroes. But they are in this group called the Elites. The Elites were once a massive group, and then Mr. Perfect, as he is called, made a big uh-oh and killed somebody. And now he's in prison, and the Elites broke up. One of them actually died. Was the reason for Mr. Perfect ending up in prison. And this is a series. I don't know if I'm going to continue with the series. I might. This is store brand DC. But I might continue with it. Next book didn't get any less weirder. Keeping on with the weirdness, I read Bunny by Mona Awad. This book is weird. I didn't understand what. I knew going into this was a love it or hate it book. Knew that going in. This was just plain weird and horrific, and I didn't understand a thing that was going on, to be honest. The ending, I'm so confused. What happened at the end of the book? I don't understand what happened at the end of the book. The ending, it just like, she was kidnapped? ? And then, like, attacked the girls? And, like, at one point they go back to class. And up to this point, they were very supportive of each other's works. And then they just, like, started crapping on each other's works. I was like, I was so confused with our main character as much as, like, main character and the teacher were. Because this was a complete 180 of what was happening up to that point. I'm just so confused at what happened in this book. I don't fully understand the whole bunny thing. It's sexual, but it's not. Like, what? What is this book? I need Kayla from Books and Lola to come and have a talk to me, and tell me what happened in this book. Explain to me this book. I need her to explain Bunny to me. And what happened? What was... I'm so confused. I know giving 3 stars. It's fine. It's very confusing. Very horrific. It's weird. If weird horror is your thing, go for it. Then I read The Dark Knight Returns. This is a classic comic book. I actually ended up getting this for Christmas. I'm so confused because I thought this book was set before, I thought this came out before The Killing Joke and A Death in the Family. But Jason's not in this. Jason's not in this. We get a new Robin. This is set like years in the future. Like, old man Bruce is in this. This is old man Bruce. And old man Superman, too. Superman's in this. This is a weird book. On top of it, it's just, the Joker's in it. Old man Joker. Old man Bruce. We get maybe the first time we ever see, I'm trying to think of her name. It's the one Robin. Do I have it on me right now? I don't think I do. I don't think I do. It's a weird book. That's not what I was expecting. I thought this book came out before. That this was the resurrection of, like, Batman comics. And then the very next year we got to the most infamous Batman comics that pushed the limits. In that we got The Killing Joke and we got A Death in the Family. Jason is mentioned in this book, and it's mentioned kind of like, remember Jason, like hints that there's something bad that happened to Jason. I don't think Barbara's ever mentioned in this book. So maybe this was just a flash forward of like, and then we go back in time when we talk about, when we go into Killing Joke and Death in Family. So many, whew. Man, I feel bad for DC readers who were during this time, because, I mean, it's a good book. It's really good. But you got this, and then right after this, you got The Killing Joke, and right after that, you got Death in the Family. Like, pain. Just pain. And sadness. So woo. Fun. Getting out of that depressive no, I'm noticing it's not over here. I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is a romance. What? I had heard very good things about this. So I wanted to give this a shot. This is about our main character who goes to this, she's driving back home from a funeral when her tire blows out, and she stays with a man, younger man. She's a cougar. It's fine. It's consensual. She stays with the man overnight. She doesn't do one night stands. She just had a nasty, nasty breakup with the head surgeon. She works in emergency medicine. She broke up with a head surgeon. Her dad's not very happy that they broke up. Her parents think they're going to get back together. She has very abusive parents. Her dad is abusive. Her mom's complacent. It's pretty crap. And I just wanted to yell and scream and just, like, shake them. And I'm so glad what happened at the end happened at the end. It's a very heartwarming story. There's a goat. It's very cute. There's a dog. His name is Hunter. He's also very, very cute. I would snatch that boy up. I would. I'd marry him. I would 100% marry that man. He's very cute. Alright. I don't think I put this on Cawpile, but I also did read, actually I read the graphic novel. I think I didn't read the third book in that, or the third story in this collection. I think the first two stories were in that graphic novel. I know I read Into the Pit. And then I think I read the second book too. This story Yeah, I read To Be Beautiful. I don't think I read Count the Ways. And I didn't read the epilogue of the story. I know so I might have to read this. But I did read the graphic novel, the first graphic novel of this. This is Into the Pit. This is the first Fazbear Frights book by Scott Cawthon. I'm planning a video where I talk about all of the stories in the Fazbear Frights books and tells of the Pizza Packs books. This is really good. These are really creepy. Also, reading the graphic novel versions, even creepier. It's even worse. It's worse reading it in graphic novel version versus regular novel version. Especially that last story in that graphic novel book. And then we're moving on to the actual last book that I read this month. I finally read A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Okay, you're about to hear me rant about this. One, nobody told me this is a paranormal romance. Why does nobody talk about this? Nobody told, when everybody brings up that they read this book, one, they bring up that they like it. It's generally a liked book. It's a good book. I enjoyed it. But nobody ever mentions that it's a paranormal romance. Maybe a fantasy romance. I'm feeling more paranormal because this is vampires. But if you want to say that it's fantasy romance, sure, fine. But it's heavy on the romance. It's very heavy on the romance. And then partially going into this, partially is my fault. Because literally on the back it says, Diana and Matthew, the forbidden love at the heart of it. Like, I should have read the back to, like, see that this is very much a romance. Very heavy. And it's fine. I enjoyed it. It's very long. I was into it. Because they kept bringing up Greek and Roman mythology. And then it got to a point. I'm really into Greek and Roman mythology. I really like that time period. The thing is, so yes, because I've read a lot of Percy Jackson. I've read Crow-Arden books. There comes a point where it literally says, I think it could have been so much interesting because Diana is named after Diana, the goddess of the hunt, in Roman mythology. Could have been really interesting because this whole book keeps mentioning that Matthew goes on these hunts. He's a vampire. It makes sense. So, like, they have this attraction, and it might be because he hunts. He's a vampire. That's part of his thing. And then Diana is named after the goddess of the hunt. She also has kind of a connection to the actual Diana. Gets to a point. Could have made that point. Could have been interesting. But she says, and I quote, actually I took a picture of this because I was really not having it after this point. It really just made me really, really angry. It says, and I quote, Diana was the goddess of fertility then. What? Where? When? What? Diana, whose counterpart is Artemis in Greek mythology. Diana's a maiden. She never married. She's never married. She's never had kids. If we're talking like Rick Riordan, she has a group of ladies who joins her on the hunt. And they are sworn off to romance. Now, you can interpret it your way, that they're all asexual or they're all lesbians. Interpret it however you want. Or aromantic, just sworn off to men, or sworn off romance, purely no romance, not even love between two ladies. But if you had said, like, Juno or Venus, who are the top two contenders to be the goddess of fertility, I think it's Juno. I think Juno is actually the technical goddess of fertility, but I think Google also says Venus, which, okay, fine. She's the goddess of love. But, like, it sounds so dumb. What? Like, what? What? No. No, 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 no. No. What? Diana is the goddess of fertility. The woman who is a maiden who sworn up to romance is the goddess of fertility. Tell me how that makes any kind of sense. The goddess of the hunt. You had an obvious answer sitting right there with the hunt thing. You had an obvious, interesting thing going on. Deborah, what the heck, dude? It just made me angry. I was just, I don't understand. I don't understand. It just angered me at that point. I had gotten, I don't know how many pages that was into the book. It's like 500 something pages into the book when this is mentioned, and I was just so angry. And if I had been earlier, if this happened earlier in the book, I might would have put it down, because it made me angry that you could, like, do 2 seconds of research and see that Diana is not the fertility goddess of fertility. She's just not. It's just, it could be so interesting because, like, Matthew, it's a romance, paranormal romance. Matthew, even though they're, like, technically married, Diana and Matthew, they never have sex. They get to, like, third base in this book, but never actually have, like, sex. Sexual things happening. Besides, other than just foreplay. Like, Deborah, you were going one way and then you were just like, whoop, nope. It could have been so interesting. I probably will pick up the sequel, by the way, just because I'm interested to see. There's time travel aspects into it. I'm a sucker for time travel. So I might pick up the sequel. Who knows? I don't own the sequel. I don't even know I think is it A Shadow of Night? This is supposed to be a trilogy. I think there's 4 books, actually. All Souls trilogy. I guess now I can watch the TV show. I saw that Alex Kingston, who was in Doctor Who, she was also in Arrow, actually, plays the aunt. And this actually has LGBT representation because one of her aunts is a lesbian. They're very cute. They're very cute together. So, I might watch the show just because Alex Kingston is in it. I've heard pretty good things about the TV show too. So, I feel like I should watch the TV show now that I have read this chonky girl. I'll know what it is going into the sequel. Didn't know that was a fantasy paranormal romance, whatever I was calling it. This is a long video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Have you read any of these books? If you did, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Go be a good cabbage today. Do something kind for someone. Even if that is for yourself, because self-care is important. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.